What's up, Detroit? This is Riles and Riley Detroit Rundown. Just want to let everybody know, you probably do recognize us. We are Brendan and Tommy from Detroit Sports Talk. We did have to break away from Cody, unfortunately. Scheduling issues did make it to where he cannot join us anymore. He might show up as a guest every now and then.
You'll probably hear him now and then.
Yeah, but we are going to start having some more guests appear on our show here in the next few weeks, just because it's only two of us now, and we got room for more people now. But
let us know if you're interested.
Yeah, we do thank all you guys for being so patient with us. I know it's been a while since we did put up our last podcast. We are apologizing for that right now, sincerely. We do hope you guys do make the switch. We did make a new Facebook page. Brendan, you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Just put it up. I have a link to it on our Detroit Sports Talk page if you're a fan of us there. We will still be hosting our show on the Farm Club, so you can still find us there. That's about it. It's going to be the same thing. You'll hear Cody once in a while. Like Tom said, we'll have some more guests. And it'll be a little more regular this time. With Cody and having that third person, it was much harder to do scheduling. With two, it should not be nearly as hard.
Yeah, you guys can probably start to expect pretty soon, as long as scheduling with school doesn't conflict. Me and Brendan will probably be posting about 2 a week now. We are planning on, once the Lions season starts, having a pregame and a postgame
we will
reaction.
be mainly Lions for the next 2 months, 3 months.
You'll
hear some Tigers talk, but you're going to get tired of the Lions.
This is a baseball and football city. We all know it. I mean, Hockey Town. It calls itself Hockey Town, but with the NHL probably going on a lockout, we're most likely going to be baseball and Lions for the next few months, and then once the Tigers end, it's going to be all Lions pretty much.
And speaking of the Lions, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to do our preview to the regular season. This was supposed to come a while back for the Detroit Sports Talk, but I think it's a good thing it waited. We're getting close onto the regular season now. We're going to take a look at all 16 games and see where we have our Detroit Lions.
Yeah, definitely got a few preseason games under a belt now, so we get to see what the team looks like. I mean, you can't take much away from what the preseason gives you, but, I mean, you can get a little bit. I mean, you can see the fluidity. I do feel like there has been some good and some bad come out of both preseason games. So let's get started. It's been much anticipated. Let's do it. So we're going to start off by Brendan's going to actually name the games that are going on throughout the season, and then
Week 1 is the St. Louis Rams in Ford Field. I personally don't think there's going to be a matchup. I think the Rams are going to impress some people this year. Ford Field was a scary place to be last year. I think you're going to see a team that is not. I think the Rams are on the way up. I really do. I don't think what they did last year is a good showing of what they're going to be, but the Lions are a better team at home. Week 1, that stadium's going to be pumped. I think it's probably a 20-point win. Honestly, I do.
I agree. I feel like the entire team this year, I mean, I like what Sam Bradford did in his rookie year. Obviously, he got hurt last year. You don't know how long that was affecting him throughout the season either. Steven Jackson, you never know with him. I mean, honestly, he's if you're talking
the Jamal Charles Week 2 last year.
Exactly. So. I mean, it's very iffy if you're going to get a great day out of Steven Jackson or not. I think the defense makes a statement heavy in this first game. They're going to put some of the haters to rest, I feel like, with the secondary and stuff. They're not going to put them to rest, though, because, I mean, you are playing one of the worst offenses in football. So, I mean, it's not like you're saying much if you're going to do it. But, I mean, it's going to be – it's honestly like an Appalachian State game for their first game, as long as they come out and play right.
They need to win this game. They honestly do. But we're going to move on to Week 2 since there wasn't too much to look at there. Week 2 is going to be a very, very anticipated game by Detroit Lions fans. We're going to San Francisco to play a Sunday night game.
Yep. Well, we just took care of one of the Harbaugh brothers in preseason. Brendan, you were at that game. Yeah. You saw it up close and personal. No handshake problems there. I like that. I mean, I personally see this being one of the NFC rivals for the next few years. I mean, as long as Detroit can hang around and as long as San Francisco can hang around, you could see a big rivalry out of this. I mean, it could be a West Coast, East Coast matchup. I personally think San Francisco's pretty much going to dominate in this game. I mean, it's not as far as score. I do think it's going to be probably around 14 points on the scoreboard. Detroit will hang tough, but I just don't see. I mean, I think San Francisco is going to be strong this year. The only thing that's questionable with San Francisco is the exact same thing that was questionable last year. It's Alex Smith. Is he going to pull off what he did against the Saints again this year, or is he going to completely go back to the old
for
Alex
me
Smith.
is almost the exact opposite of what I said with the Rams. I think the Rams are going to surprise people. I think they could win 8-9 games this year. I think San Francisco is going to come back to earth. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think this is a bad team. I think this is a 10-win team, though. What were they last year? 13 wins?
13 yeah, I think they're.
I think this team is going to come back down to earth. But with the hype that's going to be around this game as well, just like I was saying with the Rams, it's going to be a tough place to play. They got a ridiculous defense. I'll tell you what. The Lions come out of a win with this game, I would not be surprised to see them do something similar to last year, where they win their first few games. So you gave them a loss. Honestly, I got to go the same. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think that this game is set in stone. I do think the Lions can win this game. And I think this would be a big statement game for the Lions if they win this. Lions come out and win this game, assuming they beat San Francisco, took care of business there, I'd expect them to go on a very, very good run to start the season.
I'm going to throw one out here for you. I mean, this is completely based on last year and what I've seen so far in the preseason. I feel like a lot of this game is going to come down to what was our biggest Achilles heel last year, the stupid penalties. It seemed
absolutely.
like every single year, or every single big game last year, there was always a big penalty that killed the Lions.
I personally don't believe we'll make the playoffs this year unless we can cut down on those penalties.
Yeah.
And don't take that like that I'm saying this isn't a good team.
No.
I think this is a very good team, and I think a lot of people are too excited, and not excited, but too
harsh.
Think we're going to make it.
Yeah.
For sure. This is a tough year to make it.
Yes.
This may be the toughest year to make it in the NFC in a long time.
As we keep going through the schedule, I think the little Leos are gonna figure out that it ain't gonna be a cakewalk like last year, because last year was a very, very favorable schedule.
And this is a better team this year than last year, but
right.
they're going to have some harder challenges. But yeah, we'll move on. Week 3 at Tennessee. Jake Locker expected to start the regular season. Well, at least I think he's been announced starter, actually.
Yep, he did.
He was a high pick. He did well in Washington. I don't expect him to torch the Lions' defense like we saw some of at the end of last year. Chris Johnson's good. He's not anything special, in my opinion. I guess he showed he was over the last few years. Struggled last year. I expect, I guess, a fight by Tennessee, but I think Stafford is going to tear apart that team. 3-4 touchdowns. I don't have an easy win.
I'm throwing this.
But I think a 10-point win, maybe.
I'm saying easy win, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Calvin Johnson will win the Player of the Week, and he will have 3 touchdowns and 200 yards in that game because they have no secondary.
They lost Cortland Finnegan, their number 1 defensive back. I don't actually know who they got to replace him, but I don't think it matters.
So
no one can cover Calvin.
That's another game I'm not going to spend too much time on. I mean, we both have it as a win.
We have some tough games this year. We'll talk a little more about those ones.
Yeah.
Week 4, back at home, Minnesota. I guess you could worry about Adrian Peterson. Or not too much else to worry about.
You can worry about Adrian Peterson, but I mean, as of right now, he's not playing in the preseason. They want
by week 4, you expect he's ready.
They want to hold him out until the regular season starts. He wants to play. I personally say hold Adrian Peterson out till the regular season starts because then
it makes sense. No reason to play him in the preseason, but week 4, I don't expect Minnesota's going to be much better than last year.
No.
I don't really think they've gotten much better. Adrian Peterson, I think people are forgetting that he's the best running back in the league, or at least up there in the conversation. Yeah, he's had injury concerns, and he's probably going to be one of those guys who fizzles out at the end of his career. But I don't think he's at the end of his career. I think he probably, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Adrian Peterson rush for 200 yards again this season, and for the next few seasons, I mean, in individual games.
Yeah.
And that could be one. But even if he rushes for 200 yards, what does that mean when your quarterback... I mean, last year they had to bring in, what is his name, the backup to Christian Ponder. I can't remember his name.
Joe Webb? Whatever.
Joe Webb.
Yep.
Joe Webb to give the Lions a fight, and I don't expect that's going to happen this year. I got to give the Lions a win.
Don't remember if the Christian Ponder ended up experiencing Ford Field last year. I mean, it's tough enough for a veteran quarterback. I mean, Matt Castle, you can't really call a veteran quarterback, but he's been in the league a few years. He got blown away last season when he came to Ford Field for the first time.
It's a tough place to play.
Yeah, I mean, if that place, especially if they're coming off of what are 2 wins out of the first 3 games.
And if you win that San Francisco game,
that place is going to be hopping. I completely agree. I think it's going to be a win. I don't know if it's going to be an easy win. I don't think we're going to have very many easy wins this year in the division. I think our division's definitely going to be a little bit tighter this year.
It's going to be one of the tougher divisions.
I mean, but if we are going to blow a game out in the division, it's got to be this one because I mean, you're not going to blow out Chicago or Green Bay. So I have a Detroit win. Don't know score or anything, but don't need to. I just think it's
25% of the way through the season, me and Tom both have the Lions at 3-1.
This is the favorable part of their schedule, though, because it's only getting harder from here. I mean, you've got 3 teams who didn't make the playoffs out of your first 4 games. So.
All right, now Week 5 is a bye. I personally prefer early byes.
I think we can win that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a 0-0 matchup, but then we'll move on to Philadelphia. Interesting game. We're going to be in Philadelphia. A lot of people think the Eagles are going to be as good as everyone thought they were going to be last year.
Got them Super Bowl contenders for sure if Vic can stay healthy, but
he hasn't shown much this preseason.
That's exactly what I was getting at, where you don't see much in the preseason, but you do see a little bit, because right now Michael Vick has taken about 6 snaps in the preseason and has gotten hurt in 2 of them. And if that's, I mean, I heard something interesting on SportsCenter today. They were saying Michael Vick has only played 1 season, like 1 full season in his entire career, and that was with Atlanta. And I think it was 2005, maybe it was. I think it was the year that he was in, on the cover of Madden. But if Michael Vick doesn't stay healthy, I don't expect that team to do much at all.
It's definitely a different team without Michael Vick. Mike Kafka is the backup there still, I believe.
Nope, it's that rookie from Arizona. They're planning on him being the backup. It's Foles or whatever.
Yep, Nick Foles.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think the Eagles still give a fight to the Lions, even without Vick. If Vick's healthy, it's going to be even tougher.
Yep.
I'm going to have to give the Lions a loss in a close, very, very offensive game. You're probably going to see both quarterbacks pass above 300 yards. The Lions are going to struggle with a quarterback like Vick because, I mean, they can handle running quarterbacks, but they struggle against them. But when you give a running quarterback who can throw the ball like Michael Vick, it's going to be awfully tough.
They have tenacious defensive line, but they don't really have a speedy
They're too aggressive.
Line.
They don't. They go to the ball in the second that they can't change directions like Michael Vick can.
Yep. Well, I'm actually going to give them a win. I think this is one of the first big games that the Lions are going to have. San Francisco
and Philadelphia are both very big.
But this Philly game is honestly one of those games that could make or break the first part of the season. I feel like Stafford goes in there, and I feel like he separates himself a little bit from all the talks that he's got to prove it again.
Now, you want to talk about a big game.
Yeah, that's the next one.
The next game is even bigger. For me, this is by far, undoubtedly, the number 1 game of the season. Week 7 at the Chicago Bears. I think the Lions and Bears are fighting for the final playoff spot. I do. Yep. Although I do honestly believe either one of them could take the division. I know, blasphemy, right? No one's going to beat the Packers.
See, I'm actually completely the opposite. I think Chicago wins this division, and Detroit and Green Bay.
I think Detroit, Chicago, or Green Bay.
Green Bay is very, very hurt right now.
But in Chicago, Brandon Marshall back with Jay Cutler. People forget what Brandon Marshall did with Jay Cutler. In Miami, he was okay. When he was in Denver, he was really, honestly, an elite receiver.
Yep.
And I don't expect anything less.
Yeah, Jay Cutler is getting a lot of love this year in the fantasy talks by all the people, and it's not because Jay Cutler's a great quarterback. It's because he got Brandon Marshall. Exactly. I feel Soldier Field, Week 5, I've got to give it to the Bears. It's going to be close. It's going to be another close game. Could come down to another Megatron for our progression call, but I feel like Chicago does edge this one out.
I do believe this has a lot to do with momentum. If they can come into Week 7 winning the Philadelphia game, either way they're going to have a tough game, obviously. As much as I don't want to do this, I have to give the Lions a loss there. I think it's a very even matchup. Both teams are going to know it's a key matchup, and I have to give the win to Chicago.
Yep.
So I only have them at 3-3 right now, but we'll get back to that at 8. We'll do it every 4 games.
Yep.
We'll move on to the Seattle Seahawks home game. There's still a quarterback battle, which I can't believe. They paid Matt Flynn all this money.
Seattle still has a team?
They paid Matt Flynn all this money, and
they're having
they're not even sure if Russell
Wilson might end up being the starter, who also wasn't even supposed to be on the team. It was supposed to be Russell Wilson, undrafted, maybe getting signed, but now all of a sudden he's in the lead for the quarterback battle against Matt Flynn and Tavares Jackson.
And I'll tell you what, I don't think it matters. I think that Russell Wilson's got a solid future.
Yes.
But that doesn't matter. In Ford Field, it actually blows me away some of the home games the Lions have. Really looking at it. But Seattle, I got to give them another win. I don't think it's debatable. Who's the number one threat? Marshawn Lynch? Good player. But, the Lions got Adrian Peterson twice a year.
Yep.
So I'm giving the Lions a win there.
I'm giving them a blowout.
Seems like their wins are going to be interesting. Fairly easily wins. The other games are going to be awfully tough. But Week 9, or you know what? That we just finished Week 8. So
you've got them at 4-3, and I've got them at 5-2.
We should have done after 9 because that would have been 8 games. But whatever, we'll do it later on. Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Jacksonville Jaguars. You want to talk about a team who you're not sure if they still have a team?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty shaky over there, to say the least. Their number one quarterback's beating his mom, so who knows what's going to happen.
Number one running back is holding out.
Not quarterback, I'm sorry, receiver.
Number one running back's holding out. Blaine Gabbert's Blaine Gabbert.
Right. But they
got Chad Henne.
Yeah, they've got Chad Henne. But
he, honestly, in my opinion, wouldn't be surprised to see him starting at this point. I don't know if he will be, but people are going to be. If Jacksonville doesn't come out and start playing, the few fans that Jacksonville has,
Chad Henne better not leave Florida, or else he might find himself jobless. That's all I got to say. But I see.
Win.
Yep, easy win here as well. Not too much to say there. What's our next game?
All right, then we're going Week 10 to Minnesota. I think it's a little bit tougher than at home, simply because it's a road game, and road games in the NFL are always going to be tougher. I believe we struggled in Minnesota in the past.
We almost lost last season, actually. That was one of our games that we came back.
I do think this is definitely a losable game, but I think this is an improved team from last year, and I'm talking about the Lions. I don't think Minnesota's much better.
Right.
I'm still going to go Lions win there as well.
I'm going to go Lions win as well. I see, again, division opponents going to hang with us and stuff, but I don't see any difference here that it was in Ford Field, and I feel like the Vikings just aren't going to be that strong of a team, but they can hang with people.
Now, in Tom's opinion, he said earlier that Chicago, he thinks, will win the division. And if that's the case, Green Bay may be the more important game in his mind. And that's where we're moving to Week 11. Green Bay at home. Interesting game.
Yep.
They've fought with them. I believe they won 2 years ago at home. They lost last year, if I'm correct. I think they win this game. I don't think I think the Packers are a very good team. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL, arguably. The Lions need to win their division games.
Yep.
And you can't just take the 2 Minnesota games. And they need to, at the very minimum, to make the playoffs this year, beat Green Bay and Chicago. And this isn't a team, I don't believe, that's going to fold under the pressure of that. Going into Green Bay is always a tough thing.
Yep.
Bringing Green Bay to Ford Field is going to be a very entertaining game. One of the better games of the year. Late in the year, you're going to know where you stand in the playoff race. I'm giving the Lions a win here.
Is that the Sunday night game, or is that...
That is not a Sunday night game.
Okay. I feel that the Lions are going to go into Green Bay and finally get a win at Lambeau.
By the way, I forgot to mention the Chicago game that I was choosing as my game of the year is a Monday night game in Chicago.
Yeah, I got this win right here for the Lions. I do feel like they can go into Lambeau and they will win this year. However, I do not. I'll get into that in a little bit when we bring them back home to Ford Field against the Packers. But yeah, this is a win for the Lions. It's gonna be a close game. I don't see it being a 65-54 game or whatever it was last year with Matt Flynn and Sean Hill or Stafford or whatever. But I do see it being a close game with the Lions edging them out at the end.
Week 12, Houston Texans come into Ford Field. Interesting team. T.J. Yates last year is the one who led them in their playoff run. Got them their first playoff win in the history of the entire team. Matt Schaub has struggled to stay healthy, but looks like they got something in a young quarterback. Another good receiver. A very good team. I don't think they're the caliber of the Lions. I got to get the Lions to win. I do think it's going to be a very entertaining game, like many of the games on the schedule. You're getting to the point, at least under the record I have the Lions at right now, the Lions need to win against the teams that they can beat, and Houston Texans are a beatable team.
I see the Lions going into this game. I have them right now at 8-2. I feel like they're going in on top of the world, thinking that they have a shot at being one of the better teams in this league altogether. And I feel like this is the Thanksgiving game this year. I feel like they come out and lay an egg on Thanksgiving. They might come out hard in the first half. They'll play aggressive in the first half, just like they did last year. And I think that stupid penalties start doing the exact same thing to them again.
It's definitely a losable game.
This is the exact point. I feel like we're going to have the exact same thing. I feel like this is going to be the part where the Lions start slipping away their season. Not
until you see the next game.
I have my reasons for that. I said start. I have my reasons for it, but I do feel like
it's definitely a losable game.
Yeah.
It's far from the easy chalk up win like we've had in some of our other games. Week 13. I'm excited for this game for different reasons than an average game I'm excited for. I'm a season ticket holder, get to go to the games. Week 13, Indianapolis Colts, Andrew Luck coming into Ford Field. Ford Field, for those of you who don't know, is becoming, well, at least looked like last year, one of the toughest places to play. Yep. And like Tom mentioned, young guys are really going to struggle there.
Yep.
I think Andrew Luck's going to be a good quarterback, but he's going to be a good quarterback playing with a bad team in a dome that's going to be nuts.
Yep.
I think we could see him really... I think you're going to see some false starts by the offensive line. I think you may even see some bobbled snaps, which is common in loud crowd noise.
You could see him get carted off the field.
I don't want to see him get hurt. I've never hoped for an injury, but I'm hoping he gets rattled or something, and I want to see Drew Stanton come in for a play.
Yeah, I completely see a Lions blowout here. We're not even going to really talk about this game much. Go.
All right, Week 14, a place the Lions seem to not have an ability to win in Lambeau, only a few weeks after the last game. This is going to be a Sunday night game, 8:20. I would love to give the Lions a win here, and I think it's possible. But if Tom's right and they're fighting for the division, I definitely don't see them winning the game. But you know what? I got to go Packers win. I think we're getting close, guys. I don't think we're more than a year or two away. And you know what? I think this season depends a lot on what you see out of your cornerbacks. I had a lot of faith in Aaron Berry before he had to go and get cut. I'm a little scared with Smith and Bentley, but I got to give the Packers the win here.
I was misconfused. I thought this one was the one that was in Ford Field. The last one was the one in Lambeau. But so I'm switching it. This is the win. The last one was the loss, but records basically stay the same. But yeah, I've got them winning in Lambeau this year. I mean, they don't do it very often, but I feel like this could be the year that you can take advantage of Green Bay. I mean, I feel like if Detroit is going to beat Green Bay in any season, I said the exact same thing before last season's game too, and then Matt Flynn came out of nowhere and became the best quarterback in football for one game.
Now, before we go into the final 3 games of the season, I want to point something out to you guys. Like I said, I don't think the Lions have an easy run at the playoffs this year. I think they're a good team. Let's do a record check real quick, and I'll tell you right now, even looking at the records that we have, I still believe the Lions could very well miss the playoffs this year. I honestly do believe they will.
Funniest part is we did not think of these together. We didn't plan on this at all. But both me and Brendan have them both at 9-4,
and in different games.
Exactly. I mean, that's just how flaky this team is. I mean, this is not a team like your Patriots.
Last year, 10 wins got you in.
Yeah.
And we got 3 games left to get to 10 wins. The question is, will that do it if we can get it?
Yeah.
Week 15 in Arizona.
Winnable game. I mean,
it's tougher than it looks.
This is one of those games where you go out there and you're thinking, okay, we need 1-2 more wins and we're in the playoffs pretty much. You can if you get to 11 wins, you pretty much locked up a playoff spot. But with that 10th win, you don't know. I feel like we go in there, and again, I feel like we lay an egg.
This game scares me a lot.
We're coming off a big game, not a big game, but we're coming off a game that we just blew out Indianapolis, then went into Green Bay and had a tough fight with them, and now we've got an easy opponent and think we're going to roll over them. I think we go in there and I think we lose. I think Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson will both have great days. However, I feel like the Cardinals will end up winning.
This game scares me a lot. I like their rookie, Michael Floyd.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a lot like Anquan Bolden was, opposite side Larry Fitzgerald. I think this is going to have to be. I don't believe I've given the Lions a loss in a winnable, well, not a winnable game, but a game as winnable as this yet. I think the Arizona Cardinals not only are a winnable game, but they're a game you should win. I think they're going to lose this game. That doesn't mean the season's over. You still got the 2 games remaining after this. That is on the road as well. I think this is going to be a year, unlike last year, where we saw the Lions actually lose most of their home games and win a lot more on the road.
Yep.
I think there's going to be more of a home field advantage this year, but I'm giving them a loss as well. So we got 2 games left. Week 16 at home, Saturday night game, Atlanta Falcons.
That one is a Saturday night game as well. It's going to be your NBC game. I believe that's the day after. I believe that's the day after Christmas, maybe.
12/22.
Okay, the week before Christmas. Yeah. I was looking at this one on the schedule. Falcons, I believe, are going to take a step back this year.
I believe they're extremely underrated.
I do not see Matt Ryan having as good of a year this year. I mean, yes, he is supposed to be one of the better quarterbacks in football. Everybody calls him. Every year it seems like we go to the same thing with Matt Ryan. This is his year. This is the year that he's going to step out and have a breakthrough season. Every year we've said that.
I think you got Julio Jones is really expected to show some very, very. Well, he showed some talent last year, but I think this year with Roddy White and Julio Jones. Last year, Tony Gonzalez did a lot better than people expected. Matt Ryan's got some real weapons. You got Michael Turner behind him. I think Atlanta Falcons are going to be very good this year, and honestly, I don't see the Lions beating them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the Lions winning this game, though. I mean, I did just rip apart Matt Ryan, but again, the Lions are not a good team when their backs are against the walls, and I'll be honest, their backs are against the walls. If their record is actually 9-5 going into these games,
I have to admit this too. You lose. I have them losing to Packers, Cardinals, and Falcons going into Week 17. That's not the way you want to look.
Nope. And I feel like they come out and again they lay another egg, and Atlanta gets them again. They're in a dome. The Georgia Dome is just as big.
Well, it's going to be in Ford Field.
Oh, it's in Ford Field?
Yes, it is. That makes it, I know, it makes it a much tougher call.
It does make it a tougher call, but I'm going to continue with it. They are not that great when they're playing with their backs against the walls.
Week 17, Chicago Bears next game. We gave them both a loss against Atlanta. That is going to be at home, Ford Field. I'll admit, I made it look a little dramatic. I made it look like the Lions were going to win, start to make it look like it was going to be make the playoffs. Then they were going to, come down to Week 17. I don't think the Chicago Bears, and I'm not trying to rip on the Chicago Bears. I think they're a very good team. Jay Cutler seems to have a little mental issues.
Yeah,
I like him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think that team as a whole seems to show some mental issues. I don't think they're going to do a lot of winning in Ford Field over the next few years, and this is the rivalry I think is going to be big. I don't see any way the Chicago Bears come in and win Week 17 against the Detroit Lions if the Lions are in a position like this. And I don't know if 10 wins will get them in the playoffs, but if going into Week 17, this is an important game for them, and the Chicago Bears are coming into Ford Field, I think it'll be a good game. But I don't see any way the Chicago Bears win this game.
This honestly could be a rematch of your Cowboys-Giants game last year. The winner goes into the playoffs. The winner, heck, depending on how Green Bay comes out, depending on how Minnesota comes out, depending on how all the teams come out, this could end up being whoever wins the division. I could see the winner of the NFC North this year. I don't doubt it at all. I could see the winner of the NFC North.
Now, if things go the way we fell, I don't expect it. I don't know about that.
It could happen.
I don't think the winner of the NFC North is going to have 6 losses, but I gave the Lions 2 or 3 losses that could potentially be wins. I think the Lions' win-loss record could be anywhere from 9-7 to 12-4.
I feel like same way. I feel like there's no way Chicago comes in here and beats the Lions, and especially in a packed environment, because that's going to be one of those.
You're probably going to have more standing room tickets sold.
That's also going to be one of your flex games as well for the Sunday night game or whatever, the Monday night game.
And if it's important, I would not be surprised.
Exactly, and I could see this being the last game of the season, and I see Ford Field just being a packed house. And you saw how.
I guarantee you I will not come back with the voice.
Yeah,
we will not have a podcast directly after that show.
You saw how much a Monday night crowd affected Jay Cutler and Ford Field.
And that offensive line, I believe 6 or 7 false starts.
Our Lions-Bears game last year completely destroyed the Bears' season last year. I
Well,
mean,
they started to play well before. What destroyed their season was Jay Cutler.
Yeah, 2 weeks after Jay Cutler got hurt, and it was done. But I have the Lions winning that game too, and if it's a playoff game, the Lions make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, we'll see. 10 wins. Will 10 win them? We both have them at 10 wins this year.
Yep.
Question, and for anyone listening, I would like to hear, do you think 10 wins will get them in the playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely usually a safe number, but I mean,
this year it may not be.
There's a lot of good teams out there this year, and there could be a lot of surprise teams out there this year in the NFC. But we would like to thank you guys for bearing with us throughout this entire long wait from our last podcast. And again, be sure to go check out the new Facebook page, Riles and Riley Rundown. You can get the link off of the Detroit Sports Talk website, well, not website, Facebook page. But again,
you can still find us on Farm Club.
Yep, and we will be starting to post some stuff up on Farm Club as well, starting to write our own stuff. But we do want to thank you guys again for listening, and we're going to try to get as many shows as we can up for you guys. Just
much more often. Expect shows to be at the very minimum weekly.
Yeah, tell your friends about us, and we promise, I know we promised this a while back when all three of us were doing it, that we were going to do a prize-orientated show one time. If we do get to 100 likes on this one, we are going to plan on giving you guys out a prize. Not going to tell you what yet, but we can promise you it is worth it. So tell your friends about us, tell anybody you want, and get us 100 likes, and you'll be surprised what you get. All right, we do thank you for listening to the show, and you guys have a great one.